This is Deep Dive. I'm Liu Yushan. Don't be alarmed, that was not a battlefield explosion, but fireworks during Chinese New Year celebrations. The crackling noise of fireworks may evoke different reactions. For some, they are an integral part of traditional festivities, while for the others, they disrupt the peace of the night and pose safety and environmental hazards. The debate on fireworks dates back to China's efforts to regulate their use. And recently, the country's top legislature stated that in some regional regulations, a complete ban on fireworks lacks a legal basis. The statement has sparked nationwide discussions. What are the arguments from both sides? How should policymakers balance between different voices? To delve into the arguments, I spoke with my colleague Liu Yushan. This episode is brought to you on Sunday, January the 7th. So, Yushan, with the ending of the New Year's Eve and the approaching of the Chinese New Year, there's now again discussion on the prohibitions of setting off fireworks. What's the difference this time?
So as the 2024 Spring Festival approaching in just a month's time, we've once again noticed that there has been an increased heat of discussion over China's fireworks ban that is among the people and this time inside the Chinese legislature as well. So on December the 26th, 2023, the Commission for Legislative Affairs of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress filed a report. And based on typical cases, their report suggests that some local regulations on fully banning the sales and the using of fireworks and firecrackers does not actually go in line with either the air pollution prevention law or the regulations on safety management of fireworks and firecrackers. So basically, the report aims to encourage the local authorities to modify their fireworks ban according to their local environmental and geographical conditions, which sparks hope for the people to wonder just maybe this year's Spring Festival could be celebrated with a bit of, crackling and popping this year.
Very exciting news for people who want to set off fireworks. How long have the restrictions on fireworks been in China?
As a matter of fact, the topic of fireworks ban in China can be traced all the way back to the late 1980s, where incidents of fireworks causing personal injuries as well as property damage in major cities across the country were on the rise year by year back then. And this had drawn attention to the safety issues associated with fireworks and firecrackers. So in the year 1986, the Beijing Municipal People's Government issued a regulation and prohibited the use of fireworks and firecrackers in certain places in Beijing. And in 1988, it was proposed to strengthen the production and safety of fireworks and firecrackers. And around that time frame, Beijing began implementing guidelines and bans related to the safety of fireworks and firecrackers. Subsequently, 282 cities, including Shanghai, Guangzhou, Wuhan, and Xi'an, also issued similar regulations back in the 1980s. But the regulations in the late 1980s were mainly targeting on the manufacturing front. And it was only later, around the time in 1992 and 93, that they move on to, the banning on the using of fireworks for personal leisure.
So people have not been able to set off fireworks ever since the 1980s?
Actually, no, not all the way until recent years. There has been a wave of loosening and restricting on the use of fireworks in the past, say, nearly 3 to 4 decades. So during the implementation of the ban or the restrictions back in the 1980s, there were still calls from the people for the lifting of the fireworks ban. After all, celebrating festivals or special days and occasions with fireworks has been an old tradition ever since ancient times in this country, and it's not that easy to just simply ban it or erase it just like that. And after a series of discussions and negotiations, over 200 cities across the country gradually relaxed restrictions on fireworks and firecrackers by the end of 2006. So that was when the fireworks and firecrackers policy underwent a transition from a complete ban to partial restrictions. Nevertheless, it was also during that time frame when we call the haze problem or the haze issue rekindled discussions about air pollution, which, kind of brought up the topic of whether fireworks and firecrackers should be banned again, to prevent further pollution to the air. In this context, an increasing number of people actually began to support certain controls on the use of fireworks, since more and more people were concerned of the potential threats on their health due to the air quality. So after 2013, the scope of the ban gradually expanded, and policies on the use of fireworks and firecrackers were kind of tightened once again. And by 2017, and this is according to data from the Ministry of Public Security, 444 cities nationwide prohibited the use of fireworks and firecrackers, and 764 cities imposed restrictions. In 2018, over 803 cities at or above county level nationwide had officially banned the use of fireworks and firecrackers. Now, let's zoom back to the past year. So, as of early 2023, several cities had, in turn, taken measures to, relax regulations on the use of fireworks by, changing prohibition back to partially restriction. Places like Shanghai, Liaoning, and other areas have stipulated that fireworks can be used in specific time periods and designated areas. But so far, cities like Shenzhen, Shenyang, and Jinan, as well as provinces like Henan, remain on the full ban of using fireworks in the year 2024 due to safety concerns over the dense local population and city planning that are deemed to be unsuitable for setting off fireworks.
Basically, there have been debates since day one of introducing the restrictions. So what are the arguments from the pro-firework voices?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There are many pro-firework voices that's, can be traced back to a very ancient time. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's been in the Chinese culture and our history to set off fireworks and firecrackers for festivals and special days and occasions. And the most famous festival that's traditionally celebrated with fireworks is definitely the Spring Festival or the Lunar New Year. And apart from celebrations, some Chinese people, like, for example, in the rural areas in southern China's Sichuan and Yunnan provinces, etc., would also set off firecrackers at funerals as a way of memorial. So the using of fireworks and firecrackers is really ingrained in the Chinese culture in so many aspects. So according to folklore, the earliest fireworks were invented 2,000 years ago to drive away the Nian beast. It is a mythical beast that preyed on people and livestock on the eve of the Lunar New Year or Spring Festival. And in the meantime, many historians believe that fireworks originally were developed in the 2nd century BC in ancient city of Liu Yushan in central China's Hunan province. It is believed that the first natural firecrackers were bamboo stalks that were thrown in a fire and would explode with a bang because of the overheating of the hollow air pockets inside the bamboo. So the ancient Chinese believed that these natural firecrackers would scare away evil spirits and predatory beasts. And as we zoom back to a modern context, from an entertainment perspective, let's say, for example, many young people these days would pay the tickets to go to, say, amusement parks like the Disneyland in Shanghai to watch the fireworks show there. So according to the amusement park's official announcement, the fireworks show is performed on a daily basis as long as the weather condition allows it. So instead of setting off fireworks privately, people's interest for public fireworks shows remain high. And from an economic perspective, the producing of fireworks and firecrackers have also helped boosting the economies in areas such as the city of Liu Yushan in Hunan province and the Shangli County in Jiangxi province. We mentioned earlier how Liu Yushan is believed to be the birthplace of firecrackers, and after more than, say, over 1,000 years of development, Liu Yushan has formed an industrial cluster integrating production, the operation, the research, and development of formulas for manufacturing fireworks and firecrackers. And also, the city of Liu Yushan is considered to be the hometown of fireworks, and is known to the world already as the manufacturing center of fireworks and firecrackers. In the meantime, the Shangli County was reported to have over 1,000 fireworks and firecracker production enterprises in the early 2000s, and they had achieved a total fireworks and firecrackers output value of 6.5 billion yuan in the year 2009 alone. So really, we could see how the sales and manufacturing of fireworks would affect the whole local industry as well.
It's interesting that Liuyang and the other city were the origins of many of these ancient mythical stories. And 1,000 years later, they are still associated with these stories in the way of producing fireworks.
That's right.
And basically, the main arguments from the pro-firework voices are passing down the traditions. And in the meantime, there are also people who actually support restricting setting off fireworks. What about the arguments from this group of people?
Yes, so voices on the ban on firework is mainly out of environmental considerations. Like, for example, we talked about how young people would pay to go to the Disneyland in Shanghai and see the fireworks show there. But well, apparently the show was canceled on New Year's Eve last year inside Disneyland. But apparently the show was canceled on New Year's Eve last year due to the yellow alert on local air pollution level. Each tourist that came to the park on that day were given a half-day free pass for them to come back and revisit the show in January. But that could be, well, in a way, prove how big of an impact environmental concerns could cast onto local firework restrictions. And same goes with that in Changsha, in Hunan province, where the fireworks show was replaced by a balloon show to prevent further air pollution.
Okay.
And apart from air quality, another big concern would be the subsequent cleaning. So in southeastern China's Wenzhou in Zhejiang province, for example, people were not restricted to use fireworks on New Year's Day. So many just went to public places and squares to set off fireworks for private fun and entertainment. But unfortunately, none stayed behind to clean up the mess, leaving the local sanitation team working from 3 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the second day in order to restore the street back to normal. Then, well, last but not least, the safety issue as well as the loud noise for using fireworks and firecrackers has long remained as a major complaint as well, especially among the aged generation and also households that have babies or, keep pets, etc. So we see that the ban on firework is mainly out of environmental considerations, but that is barely the sole reason why people would want to ban it.
So it sounds like environmental concerns are the main reason. And is there a specific number on the scale of emission from fireworks?
Yes, actually, it was reported on the Chinese New Year's Eve in 2022 that the hourly concentration of the PM 2.5 particles in cities across the country was rapidly increased overnight. At 2 a.m. on the first day of February, the average hourly concentration of PM 2.5 in 339 prefecture-level cities and above had reached 99 micrograms per cubic meter. And a total of 57 cities in China had an average hourly concentration of PM 2.5 greater than 150 micrograms per cubic meter, indicating severe air pollution. And among them, 22 cities had an average hourly concentration of PM 2.5 greater than 250 micrograms per cubic meter. And here's the comparison. So the normal, or rather the standard concentration of that number should be less than 25 micrograms per cubic meter, as defined by the WHO. So in short, just in case you guys are lost in the numbers, the concentration of PM 2.5, or rather the reading of that figure, will be increasing quite rapidly during the Spring Festival season. And also in the meantime, we all know that, setting off firecrackers can produce a large amount of harmful gases such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and carbon monoxide, etc., which would not only affect air quality, but also do harm to people's health as well. And though the numbers and conditions might seem intimidating, and I do want to mention that there's been a rapidly growing environmental awareness among the Chinese citizens. Nowadays, China is driven by the national pursuit of sustainability in all its forms, whether it's economic, societal, or environmental. And with continuous efforts and long-term goals like the dual carbon targets, China is working steadfastly to reduce emissions and pollutions in all possible ways. There's a saying here called, "Do not avoid doing a good deed even if it seems trivial, and do not commit an evil act even if it seems small." So people understand that there is no lesser evil in face of environmental issues, such as combating air pollution, and we're taking the actions to curb the negative impact as well.
So fireworks are responsible for a number of harmful pollutions, but there are also people who want to pass on the traditions and keep on the festive celebrations. Is there a way to address the environmental concerns while people can also have a good time during the festivals?
I would say that this is a very good question because to achieve such a balance would not be easy. And China is such a vast country, and it would require each local governments and authorities to really look into their actual environmental and geographical conditions, if not their own city planning as well, to make the right decisions that would satisfy all. Because on the one hand, people's will of setting off fireworks and firecrackers, either for celebration, entertainment, or other private causes, should be respected. And the good old Chinese traditions that's been passing down between generations should be honored. But on the other hand, people should treat the using of fireworks as no easy game, since it would cause pollution and potential physical or mental harm to others. And for some places, their local condition would determine that they would not be suitable for setting off fireworks in the first place. Take Shenzhen as an example. So the city is over 2,000 square kilometers, but the population is close to 20 million. And in the city, there are more than 1,000 super high-rise buildings that's over 100 meters tall, with an urbanization rate reaching 100%. As reported by the end of last year. Such a societal condition would no doubt raise so many potential safety hazards once the ban on fireworks is lifted. But in the meantime, we have also seen that in other major Chinese cities like Beijing and Shanghai, for example, using fireworks in open areas in the urban-rural junction areas has been allowed ever since 2023. So really, the balance is highly reliant on the local conditions. For some cities, counties, and rural areas, however, a complete ban actually would not be necessary if a vast open space is available locally and therefore would minimize the potential threats for people's health or safety. But, well, for those other areas that can't afford such a luxury, it is also suggested that we could replace fireworks as light shows or, high-tech shows like those performed by drones, for example, many local governments have actually embarked on the path and hired drones to do New Year light shows instead of loosening their restrictions on using fireworks, which can also be a good way to try something different to meet people's need for the festive vibes.
Of course, now there's many modern ways to celebrate the festivals, but when it comes to fireworks, it's still very important to balance between all forms of voices and concerns, and to also respect those who want to celebrate with a bit of a tradition.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Yushan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Following the top legislature statement, some regional governments, like Jinan in Shandong province, have designated specific areas for fireworks while maintaining restrictions elsewhere. In contrast, more cities like Shenzhen insist on complete bans while providing detailed explanations for their decision-making processes. China aims to peak carbon emissions by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. But amidst this green drive, there's also the need to respect and consider diverse perspectives. As the debate continues to unfold, finding a balance between traditions and environmental concerns remains a challenge. While prioritizing sustainability, policymakers must also navigate a path that respects cultural practices and addresses environmental impacts at the same time. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Deep Dive. If you enjoyed what you just heard, don't forget to follow us on your podcast platform. Just search for Deep Dive. You can also leave comments to let us know what you want to learn about China and beyond. This episode is brought to you by me, Liu Yushan, and my colleagues Zhang Zhang and Qi Zhi. Special thanks to CGTN Radio reporter Liu Yushan. I'll see you in the next one.